Stay tuned because you know Reec is going to have one of your favorite stars with him today.
Stay tuned.
That's right, man. We back at it. Shout out to everybody tuned in up in Charlotte, CNVA 107.5. Shout out to my brother Potty Ali on the game. Michigan, Indiana, Miami, and of course we broadcasting live from Media Campus West. Your boy Reec right here, Reec Show Live. I got another special guest in the building. We about to make some noise for this young lady right here, man. I know you seen, I know you heard her, and now we about to read her a little bit too, but not the way you think. Let's talk about it. Not in the way you think. Hey, man, listen, we have Kiana Dancie in the building. What's up, mama?
First of all, you better put some respect on my name. It's the Kiana Dancie. Hey, boo!
My bad. All right, listen.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one.
I love it. All right, listen, for some people, that come on the show, we have to do something called the biggest intro ever. It's our version of giving you your virtual flowers while you still here to smell them. You know what I mean? So you got so much history in the game and so many great things you've been doing that people may, they know you, but they may have skipped over maybe one or two things because you got so much going on. So is it okay if we read you your biggest intro ever?
Absolutely.
All right, we got this thing called the hype bell too. I might wear the paint off of it. This seems like this is gonna be one of those type of interviews. All right, here we go. You may know this hilarious comedian from one of her many stand-up appearances, most recently on the highly popular Kountry Wayne and Friends stand-up tour, but she's blessed many of crowds with her outrageous sets across the country. She's handpicked by Kevin Hart to perform on his LOL stage and demolished sets on nationally televised comedic programs such as Off the Chain and Who's Got Jokes. Or maybe you recollect seeing her, the Kiana Dancie, hosted TV One Sister Circle, where she brought her quick wit and dynamic energy to the daytime talk show. This multiple threat in the entertainment world can be heard on one of the most popular morning shows in Atlanta radio, seen on many social media phenoms, on many viral skits, and on several hit movies and shows that can be streamed right now on Netflix, like Sex Tuplets with Marlon Wayans.
Hey.
There we go. If you follow her social media, you know that she radiates with good vibes on each post, but also uses her popularity to key in on social issues. She motivates and uplifts her followers with blurbs and quotes, and now she's doing it on an even bigger level with her new book that will help people find the humor within their struggles of everyday life. She's a comedian, author, actress, social media sensation, a dog mom, and all-around dope human being. The Kiana Dancie is live with Reec.
Hey!
There we go.
That's my bio. You hear that?
There we go.
You know what's funny? I always say I'm the most known unknown. And here's the thing. A lot of people know who I am, but a lot of people may not. And that's fine.
They got to catch up. That's all.
Catch up. But one thing that you neglected to mention about me in my bio is I'm a franchise owner.
Yes. Yeah, let's talk about that too.
Yes.
Let's talk about that too.
You got to get to the bag, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what? I just didn't know if the IRS was listening or not, so I didn't know, how far you wanted me to go into this thing.
Let me tell you something. I'm not afraid of the IRS. I let the IRS know. I paid my taxes because what we not going to do is be watching me down to the Instagram or the social media platform and they done took all our stuff. Nope. I paid my taxes.
She done paid them taxes. I ain't mad at that. All right, let's jump right into this interview because most of us know you are introduced to you from being on stage and stand up, but what was that moment when you realized that, oh, you know what, I'm actually funny, like really funny?
It's so funny that you asked that question, and thank you for it, because sometimes people think you just appear, and it didn't happen like that. I actually did not know. I was working for Samsung Telecommunications. I was a manager for the company, and I got laid off from my job, but I was actually challenged by one of my good girlfriends, Demetria, shout out to her, to really just take my funny stories of my breakups and all my drama to the stage. And she was like, girl, that is funny. And I was like, really? You want to laugh at my misery? Because, of course, I was going through a breakup with my ex. And so I did it. I went on stage. They didn't throw apples or rotten fruit at me, and they told me to come back. And it was it was really a release for me that I was able to get some of that pressure and frustration off of me. Kiko, stop. Sorry.
We said you was a dog, Mom. You gotta do it. You know what I'm saying? It's all good.
I told you she don't care nothing about nothing about her mama being famous. She can care less. Okay?
All right, first of all, we need to let her know that is how the kibble gets bought. You know what I'm saying?
We tried it. She don't eat kibble.
The filet mignon.
Yes.
Excuse me.
We got special diets.
Right. So that's awesome that you were able to find some healing and therapy within your talent, within your everyday life experience.
Absolutely. And I also won. I remember I was reading in my book, I won a contest against some really well-known vet comedians in Houston, Texas at the time when I had first started. And I won the opportunity to open for Cat Williams. They paid me $1,000 supposedly for 7 minutes. Maybe when I tell you I didn't have 7 minutes, all I had was 5, but I was going to get that money. So yes, I knew that I was funny when I was able to beat those that were had been in the game for a long time. But I had a cap. I was like, I only got 5, but I ain't gonna tell them. Give me the money.
There we go. But you found them 2 minutes, and being on stage, that 2 minutes is a long time.
You ain't lying, it is, especially when you're not funny, or if you're bombing. It's a long time. But lucky me. I'm
for
funny.
Real though.
So I didn't have those trouble.
For real though. That is so dope, man. So you just bust on the scene with that black girl magic, huh?
Come on, and look, all these big old eyes and big old teeth. So yes, I had a good time. And then once I realized, I really, because I didn't understand how comedians made money. I didn't understand how do you put a fee attached to something that's non-tangible. So I used to write a column called Comedy Cocktails for a magazine called Houston Style. And honestly, I would just sit and talk to celebrity comedians, the likes of Dave Chappelle. I interviewed Monique, Red Grant, those people, Lunel. And I sat with them and asked them, how do I take, this non-tangible talent and make it into something? And look, I can't say that I necessarily got all the answers, but I definitely figured it out.
That's dope, man. They were just willing and open to give you that game. I know you were doing a column, so it helped them as well to be able to get themselves out there and maybe some different eyeballs, but they just gave you that game. I know that has to be super dope.
It was, and it was quite enlightening. I remember, and it's funny because I had a conversation with Dave a couple months ago when he was here in Atlanta. I sat with Dave and he wasn't talking to any press. He talked to me about why he made the decision to walk away from $50 million. There was a lot of times that I was privy to conversations because I am a comedian and because he's pretty. But it also is that I'm smart.
Right. Hold on, we're gonna hit the hype bell for you being all of that. But let's talk about that, because like you said, a lot of people weren't able to pick his brain and see what he was going through or get that different perspective. So what are some of the things you may have picked up from that conversation, without getting into y'all's business?
Right, and I'll be very honest with you, it was very candid. And the one thing that I walked away from, and I will always remember, is no matter how big the check is, some things just can't be sold. And you have to make a decision, because listen, Hollywood will buy everything that you are willing to put on the block to be sold. So you have to make a decision when you're coming into this industry. What am I willing to sell? How far am I willing to go? And once you make that decision, you cannot cross that line. You oftentimes see people like, how did they get there? And then you make you wonder, did the Illuminati come get the people?
Right. Because you hear people. Yeah, you hear people joke about it. You heard a couple of comedians, and I'm not gonna say them by name because I don't want this to be a clickbait interview, but a couple of comedians said, I shouldn't have never wore the dress and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it's like you said, so it sounded like he was telling you got to set these boundaries and don't compromise on those.
Don't compromise on them. Don't compromise on it. And the thing about it is, we all want to be successful. We all want to get to the next level, but at what cost? How much are you willing to sell? How far are you willing to go? Who are you willing to screw? Let me tell you something, baby. A lot of these people that screwed themselves just to the middle. And you think you're going somewhere, but once you get to that middle, no one knows anything about you. So you have to make a decision, like what you're trying to do. And then, once you do that, like I said, do not cross that line.
I feel you on that one. So I hope you guys are taking notes. She's giving y'all all the game right now, talking about crossing that line. Have you ever been approached in any of those situations where you were like, I'm not doing that?
Absolutely. When I first moved to LA in 2009, I met a comedian. I'm not gonna say his name. Very
Okay.
famous guy. He's a road warrior. You have probably seen him before. And I was fresh into LA, and he asked me. I was standing outside the comedy store. He said, "What's your name?" And I was like, "The Kiana Dancie." He was like, "Oh, I ain't never heard of you before." He said, "You a comedian?" I said, "Yeah." He was like, "Oh, that don't matter. Listen, you ain't gonna be nobody, so you might as well come upstairs with me. Let me put you on. I only need 15 minutes. I'm gonna take you on a 15 city tour, and I'm gonna give you $1,500 every city. But I'm gonna give you $1,500 tonight."
Wow.
Whoa.
Really?
You only need 15 minutes, and you're gonna give me 1,500. And this, the thing is, so a lot of people in LA probably would taken that offer, considering in LA, honey, you hungry. You know what I'm saying? But see, little did he know, I had gotten when I got laid off from my job, I got a severance package.
So you already had a little cushion.
And I had, you know what I mean? I had some money. And not only that, I had my family who was very, very supportive. So I had, but I'll say I've never been that low. And so for me, it was never an option. I was like, oh, all you need is 15 minutes? Well, let me tell you something. I'm an hour girl. I'll pass.
Hey, and then you can sleep at night with those type of situations for you, because I know in my brain, I'd be like, man, if I would have did something like that, I'd be like, man, I don't know if I could look at myself in the mirror after that. You know what I'm saying? I want to be able to pray to God and feel good about it. You know what I mean?
Oh, Lord, pray to God. You hear me? And sometimes, you know, a lot of times people are put in situations where, you know, you have to make a decision. I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? I want to get to that next level. So, you know, it's unfortunate that a lot, especially women, and I can't speak for men. I do know that you guys have, struggles and troubles and obstacles you have to overcome, but I can only speak about me and my experiences. And oftentimes as a woman, we're propositioned differently and more often, in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel you on that. I'm glad you kind of sharing that insight too. It's like, ladies, I hope you guys are listening. If you know you hungry, you want to get to the next level, but don't compromise yourself, because you never know how your name is gonna spread after that too.
Listen, you have one. Look, you take one, you may as well take them all, because they all gonna talk about it. Right.
And you don't want your name like that. And right now we're with the Kiana Dancie. We're talking to her a little bit about, you know, her coming up in the industry. Your first TV experience, when the first time you're gonna be on stage doing stand up, and they like, oh, the cameras are rolling. What's going through your head?
You know, funny. It was such a blur for me, because I did not know. Listen, first of all, when I first did my first stand-up on television, I didn't tell my job. I was still employed. And so my boss called me. He was like, I saw you on TV. I said, you ain't seen me on TV. Listen, this is before real life text messaging. And this is 2007 or 8 or something. And so he sent me a screenshot of me down to the TV. I said, sir,
you doing too much. Just let me be out. Wait, did you call in sick and then you was on TV?
Child, I was all in DC minding my business, and this man was like, well, when did you have time to do this? I said, no, you asking too many questions.
Right, you asked too many questions.
So I had to fess up and say, yeah, that was me. So then, you know, I knew that my time was like literally, my days were limited, because they were numbered, because he felt like, oh, she's moonlighting, she has a second career. And when it came down to needing to cut the team by 15%, I was the only single woman. I was the only woman who didn't have children. So he felt like if I cut her, you know, she'll land on her feet, she'll be fine. So I was not surprised when I got laid off from my job. It probably was one of the biggest blessings ever, because as we've all heard, Steve Harvey said, sometimes you just got to jump. And I did. So when they cut me, boom, on to LA I went.
That was your jump moment. That's a beautiful thing. You were able to follow your dream, and, you know, they help you do it. Whether you liked it or not, they helped you do it.
I was going to say, he pushed me, said, bye, girl, bye.
Right. Shout out to you being a responsible adult and, you know, not having kids and stuff before time. So then, you know, you was ready. You was ready to get fired.
You know, I oftentimes I have no regrets. I have no regrets for not being a mother, but it's definitely something I still want to do. And to be honest with you, one reason I did not have kids was not. Look, let's be clear. It's not because she can't. Okay, that double back-to-back IUD is a monster. You hear me? But I personally never wanted to be a single mom. And I'm not judging how anyone else do it. I saw my mother. I saw my mother. See, this is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
I saw my mother raise 2 children by herself, and I know that she did not have that. That wasn't necessarily her. That oftentimes is not the plan. But
right. It's not the plan. Yeah,
right.
But you had a plan.
And I had a plan. I knew that I didn't want to do it that way. And even with that being said, it's one of those situations where I'm so sorry. Kiko, go home. So I'm like, I've made a decision that I'm just not going to do this for me. But even at this age, I'm going to be very transparent with you. I'm 43, and I'm actually going through the process of freezing my eggs because, one, I want the option. This is something that Black women never talked about before. I'm going to have to, Kiko, go home. Let me tell you something. This whole situation is about to fall apart. Because she is, and I put her in her cage and she somehow managed to get out. I decided to freeze my eggs because I wanted the option. And I'm gonna tell you something that's Black women. You probably don't know this. Black women are never, we don't have those conversations. We don't know that freezing our eggs is an option. First of all, we don't have that kind of money. Who got $10,000 to go freeze your eggs? The testing and the things that you have to do. Had I known this, I would have did this in my 20s. Had I known, I would have done this in my 30s. But not knowing, the lack of knowledge, the lack of just the understanding of really what that is.
The information. We don't have the information.
It's not something that we don't have the information or the resources. So, it's typically they want you to freeze your egg by the age of 43. When what happens is they harvest the eggs, they freeze them, and you can take the eggs and put them back in either your uterus or you can put them in someone else. And I made the decision to do it now because I had a very deep conversation with one of Frankie, who's a radio host here. His wife told me, she was like, well, when I first met my husband, Frankie, I did not know. I didn't have a father. I didn't have a husband. All I did was work. And she said, I met him literally like when I was in the process of freezing my eggs. And she froze her 30-year-old eggs, and she also froze her 40-year-old eggs. She didn't get pregnant with her 30-year-old eggs. She got pregnant with her 40-year-old eggs. So for the women that are listening to me, for those who don't have a mate, don't have a husband, don't ever think it's too late. I always say, and she told me this out her mouth. She said, "You carrying a $15,000 bag." Girl, you carrying the bag, put that money, $15,000 bag, $15,000 bag, use that same money to go freeze your eggs. If you want to be a mother, you have that option.
Right. Just it's a different kind of bag you securing, that's all.
Kind of bag. And then, everybody, and don't get me wrong, having your own child is not the only one to become a mother. You can adopt children. You could, get there. It's so many different ways.
It's different ways, but we appreciate you sharing that information with our audience. It's because, like you said, it's not a conversation we out here having. You know what I mean? Right. Like you really spitting some real game and knowledge right now. So we appreciate that. It was a little impromptu, but it's right on time. So thank you.
That's what I do, Reec.
I see. I already know that. That's why you here right now. All right. Let's talk a little bit about it because it sounds like these are some of the things that we're going to find in this book.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about this book. Well, I really love the transparency in the blurb on the back of the book. You was like, I was really just trying to get paid, but then I started realizing I can help myself and help people.
Right. Yeah, and you're right. So to keep it 100, I don't even know the name of the surgery. It starts with a B. It's real fancy. I had plastic surgery, and I got the bags under my eyes removed. And while I was trying to get prettier, turn the clock back. While I was laying there with bandages over my eyes, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna heal my outside bags. Maybe I need to take this time to heal my internal baggage, the things that I carry, the things that show up before me, the things that show up, in my relationships and my eating habits and all those things." So I had to make a decision that I was gonna heal inside, just not on the outside. And I actually, while I had the bandages over my eyes, I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, come over here real quick. Come on." I'm screaming, "Come, bring pen, bring a paper, come." So she comes, she's like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" I said, "I need you to write these things down, Mommy. I need you to write these things down. I need you to write one thing that reminds me of an insecurity," and I gave it to her. One thing that reminds me of a shortcoming, and I gave it to her. One thing that reminds me of a failure, and I gave it to her. We wrote it down, and then when I was able to take those bandages off my eyes, I tore it up. And after I tore it up, I burned it up. Because what I was not going to do is be held captive, hostage, by anything that reminded me of an insecurity, failure, or a shortcoming. I made the decision that I was going to be happy and free.
I like that. And that's kind of where the preface, how the book started, huh?
Absolutely. So while and that's the thing, you have to make a decision. On down to the Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, they always say, "I woke up this morning and I chose violence," and I used to laugh at that. And I think,
Right.
I chose violence. But when I finished this book, I started waking up and I started choosing joy, peace, happiness. I decided that nothing is going to, because life is so short. If the pandemic have not taught you anything, the virus took people out that we thought was healthy. I'm talking about all they ate was green. They was vegan. The blood pressure was low. They didn't have high blood sugar, whatever. But then they was dead for COVID. Then you got people who eat everything brown, everything fried, everything, covered in grease. But COVID didn't get them. But then, young, old, it didn't matter. So I'm going to tell you, life is not fair. So the pandemic taught me one thing: life is very short. Our days are numbered. So you got to take advantage of this time. You got to act on those. You got to maximize your day and your peace and your joy.
Talk about that peace, maximizing that peace. As you getting these pages done, you writing out all of these things that could be considered either trauma or joys or epiphanies in your life. What kind of peace are you feeling as you getting that pen to the paper?
I love that question because for me, when I was able to write down the things that I felt like were holding me back, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be very, again, transparent with you. I am a child molestation survivor. I never talked about it because I thought that it made people look at my mother a certain way. And my mother thought that I didn't talk about it because I still felt some kind of way. The thing that my mom told me that I would never forget, she said, "Baby, listen, I did everything that I could to protect you. I didn't feed you to the monster. I thought first of all, the monster, the person that molested me, lived with us. He had been in my life for a long time. It wasn't someone I just met." So oftentimes people assume that the people who will violate you, molest you, or rape you are people that you don't know. That's not the case. The person that touched me was one time inappropriate, but at the end of the day, it was still inappropriate. I was 6 years old. And my mother told me, she said, "Listen, I didn't serve you to the monster. That I loved that man and I thought he loved us." Who knew that was in his mind? So I want you to take the courage, be courageous. Do what you got to do. Turn on the light and speak your truth, because you will realize that you're not the only one in the room.
Yeah. How hard was that though to put that out there?
Yes. So when I started talking about the fact that I'm a child molestation survivor, when I started talking about the things that I've been through, and the good thing about my mother, she had enough sense. As soon as I told her, we told the authorities. He went to jail. She put me in counseling in that order. A lot of women that have been courageous enough and bold enough and felt secure enough to come and tell me too, this has happened to me. They would tell me different stories. Like, I told my mom, she kicked me out. She didn't believe me, and so I thought it was very interesting that you come, you find the ability to tell somebody this is happening to you, and then you have no one to believe you. How sad. So
how I want to ask, I want to slow you down real quick. I have some specific questions about that. Did you feel any sense of regaining your power back when your mom took that type of course of action?
Absolutely. But I was only 6, so I didn't even know how much power I had lost. I do know that my eyes were open to a different world. At 6 years old, all I knew was she just peed. I didn't know it was anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what that little thing do.
Right.
And so, I was so grateful that my mother was able to put me in counseling so that I did know, one, I didn't molest myself, so I didn't walk around with any sort of guilt. A lot of times victims carry guilt as if they did this to themselves or they did something that caused the situation. No, sis or bruh. Because to be honest with you, men are being molested and violated too.
That's true. Yeah.
So this was nothing that you did. This was something that person chose to do, and it was wrong. So speak your truth. But I definitely, as I've gotten older and I began to talk about it, and I wasn't discussing it prior to me talking about it, I wasn't talking about it publicly. Yes, I felt empowered. Yes, I felt courageous. Yes, I felt like it was the right thing to do. And to be honest with you, if that man walked up, I don't know if he dead or alive, but if he walked up to me, I wouldn't know what he looked like. All I know is his first name.
I got you. I mean, and it's a beautiful thing that not that what happened, obviously, but that your mom was able to help you through that. I hope some people are out there listening. If you ever get approached with somebody telling you that information, it's already hard enough for them to say it. So try to, take it serious, take that action, and you never know what you could be doing for the victim. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And getting that person from doing it to somebody else.
Yes, that part. But I'll tell you this, and this is what I'm a firm believer. As a believer, I do understand that, you know, it sucks that bad things have to happen to us. But what I do know, God has always promised us that he will give us beauty for our ashes. No matter what you've been through and how hard your life has been, I promise you, you will get through it. Keep living. The good days will come. Life is not just always bad. So all your struggles, it will come full circle. And you'll be like, ooh, that's why I had to go through this. Look how stronger I got.
That's a bar right there. I like it. You know, it's you're always gonna be birthed. That phoenix gonna come through, birthing those ashes. Let's talk about it. I do want to let's run through this, because we know when we see you on stage, we know we gonna get hilarity. When we see you on the screen, big screen or TV screen, you know we gonna get a certain type of energy. We're gonna get that wit. But when we see you as an author, what are we gonna get from you as an author in this book? What are we gonna find?
So I'm very transparent. You know, already you know what I'm talking to you about. I've told you I'm a child molestation survivor. I was in a long-term relationship that did not materialize into me becoming a wife. Now, let's just be clear. The man asked me to marry him multiple times. I said no, because every time he asked, he proposed. It was an escalation of desperation. So I knew that for me, that wasn't the situation that I wanted to be in, although I loved him. You also will learn about, you know, when I was 17 years old, you know, I've been through some traumatic situations where I shouldn't even be here. My boyfriend at the time was shot in front of me.
Wow. That's a different kind of trauma.
You know, that man that shot my boyfriend could have shot me, but he didn't. So when I tell you there's a light that shines upon me, there is a reason that I'm supposed to be here. Now, what that reason is, I have no idea, but I am here. So in this book, I just break it all down. As I've been reading it, I'm like, oh, I could have said that differently. But when you read the book, you'll know that I said it. It's not framing. It's not real proper. It's spoken in my, you know, in my words.
It's relatable.
It's relatable. It's as if you're having a conversation with me. So I hope when you read this book that not only that it encourage you know a lot about me, but it also encourages you to find out a little bit about yourself. Pull back the layers. See what you are carrying, what bags you're carrying, because this is what I do. You are your bag until you decide to not to be your bag. So if you are angry, you will show up angry. If you are child molestation, if you don't a survivor, well, first of all, if you're a child molestation victim, you will be a victim until you decide to become a survivor. You will, with all those things, they show up in your eating habits, they show up in your relationships. You will be in a relationship with somebody and you'll be trying to have them pay for what the other person did to you. You have to make a decision that you're not going to be held captive or hostage by that no more at all.
Right. Nah, I feel you. And I love that. I'm loving this conversation. So I know having a conversation with you in between those pages, I can't wait to read the book myself and share it with some people. Let me hit the hype bell for that. Now we got some questions coming in offline. I want to hit these questions before we end this interview. We got with something called our Fast Four. Okay, so in the chat we have one of the questions. It's gonna replace one of our Fast Four questions. Perfect. They want to know: would you ever host a TV talk show again?
Absolutely. My team is actually working on that right now. We have a lot of things, a lot of irons in the fire, some that I can't even discuss. But I can tell you I have a podcast coming out. I have a TV show happening. There's a lot of things being developed. You know how I go. You can't talk about nothing. You can't tell the people what you're doing until you're doing what you're doing. But yes, I love being on television. And I'll tell you, if y'all want to know what happened to Super Circle Live, check out Chapter 10.
That's right. It's in the book.
It's in the book. It's in the book. I absolutely love being on television. I felt like it was the right place for me. I'm not sure.
It seemed like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the panel is the perfect idea for me. But again, I'm flexible. I can do anything anywhere. So if there's an opportunity for me, whether it's a panel or just individually me hosting the show by myself, I will thrive and I will survive.
Yeah, I like it. Just like back in the day, we said works well with others, check, and motivated to do assignments, check. You got it all covered. Let's go to this next question. If you are on a tour, the Kiana Dancie tour, and you could pick 4 other comedians to go on this tour with you, who would it be?
Wow, that's a hard question. I can pick anybody. Anybody. Okay, is this an all-female tour?
No, it's whatever this is your tour. You making the rules.
Oh my gosh. Well,
if you want to dig somebody up and bring back their hologram, you could do it. This is your tour.
Absolutely. absolutely. The queen, some more. Would love to be on tour with her. I talk to her all the time. I really like some more. I salute her. I think she's made a tremendous mark on the industry. I love Moms Mabley. She was dope. She broke the glass
She
ceiling
broke
for
the
us
mold.
all,
Yes.
male
Yes.
and female. I absolutely love who else would I say? Well, God, I got it's so many.
That's a crazy lineup already.
Yeah, I know. We gotta throw a dude in there. We got the George Carlin. When I tell you I love me a good George Carlin, typically a full comedy show is, you know, an opener, a feature, a headliner, and a host. So basically that's the whole show. George Carlin, Moms Mabley, and some more and myself.
That's crazy. Let me hit the hype bell for that. I like it, man. We gotta make some kind of comedy mixtape with all that in there, all that mixed up in there, because you're gonna get your funny and you're gonna get your consciousness too within that hilarity. So I like it. All right, if you could go back and talk to yourself and give you a one-liner before the first time you hit that stage for a television appearance, and knowing that you know everything that you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Slow down, sis. Yeah, I think a lot of times I was moving so fast in my life that I missed opportunities that could have, like, even in my book I say this. I wonder if I met my husband. Did I meet the man and I was moving too fast, girl?
It'll come back around if you did.
That part. You know, I think I would just tell myself to slow down. There was a lot of things and a lot of moving parts in my life that I feel like indulge in the experience. Like I've been to Korea, I've been to Paris, I've been, you know, all these amazing experiences that I had, and met a lot of amazing people in my life. And I don't know if I necessarily took the opportunity to
soak
understand
it in.
The scope.
Yeah.
Soak it all in.
Yeah, I got it. I like that, man. One time, let me hit this hype bell for you. The Kiana Dancie came through the Reec Show. Reec Show Live. We appreciate you. Make sure you guys go get this book right now. Not now, but right now. I know it's on all over different platforms. It's on your website too, correct?
It's on my website. If you order it from KianaDancie.com, you will actually get an autograph, a copy, and a little gift that I put in the package. But you can get it on Instagram. Sorry. You can go to my website. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Target. I think it's down to the Walmart now, so you can get it everywhere. Barnes and Noble. My goal is just to sell books. At the end of the day, I want you guys to sell, you know, buy my book, to read my story, to learn about me, but more importantly, learn something about yourself. Let me tell you this, Reec. On page 275, I have an area here. It's called Reflection Questions, where I want you to take the time to get to know you. What are the things that you need to unpack in your life? And then one of the questions that I was asked a couple weeks ago in an interview that I thought was really deep. I said, "Oh, that's good." Somebody asked me, "Well, what's the difference between luggage and baggage?" Baby, at that moment, I had a good answer, but it gave me some time to think about it. I said, I know the difference between luggage and baggage. Luggage, you're going somewhere. Baggage is holding you down. Sis, unpack your baggage. Unpack your bags, bruh. Don't let nothing. Okay, you didn't go into the league. Okay, fine. You didn't go into the league, but that don't mean you still can't be a football star. Coach, train. Your dream may not be the way that you wanted it to, but that doesn't mean your dream is dead. So I oftentimes remind people, take the time. Unpack the baggage that's holding you back and holding you down. And it's one thing I want you to do. Well, three things. I want you to write down one thing to remind you of insecurity, one thing to remind you of shortcoming, one thing to remind you of a failure in your life and you. I want you to write it down, tear it up, and burn it up. I mean, set it on fire. Fire is a reflection of starting anew.
Yeah, there we go. That's a bar right there. You said something. Usually we do a Reese's Piece of Mind, but I think you kind of encompassed it right there. So we're going to run with that one. And also we'll just add on to it a little bit. Usually your success, right, is going to be related to whatever your dream is. So you may want it to, like myself, I started out doing music, and the point of doing music is to be on the radio and have these songs and be doing these concerts. But hey, look at me hosting 20,000 people arenas as a host and being on radio every day. That's related to that type of success, and it's still successful. So don't get caught up in the actual quote unquote dream. Make sure that you understand your successes as they happen. And that's our Reec's Peace of Mind today. Thank you, Miss Lady, for pulling up on us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much. Just know that no matter what you're doing, who you're doing it with, God loves you. No matter how many times you fall, you can always get up. Come on.
There we go. All right, y'all. We getting back into this mix right now. DJ Decepticon, DJ OS on deck. Miss Kiana Dancie, we appreciate you, mama. Hit this hype bell one more time. Reec Show Live, we are gone.